I'm honestly kind of annoyed. I'm annoyed by bigger retainer YouTubers who have nothing to say, or they say crap, but only because they are already successfully retaining. They get all the clicks. They put the most retarded thumbnails and no one cares, and they get clicks. They put thumbnails where there are Instagram models with bikinis, and then maybe they blur them and they're like, ooh, this is the enemy, this is the enemy, this is bad, and OnlyFans is bad. But then they use this still as a thumbnail because they know guys will click on that. And then there's other YouTubers, retainers, like Masculine Theory, with his 116,000 subscribers. And he is using such lame thumbnails. Every time it's just, I don't know, he made a thumbnail where it's just the nervous system, with the brain and the eyes, and it's staring at you. And it's always the same formula, always some weird anatomical stuff. And then he talks like everything is so important, you need to do this and that, you need to do so many tremor release exercises, and you need to get the tension out of your fascia, and you need to get the tension out of your hip area, and there's so much trauma stored, and it will take you so long, and you need to do so much different stuff, and it's all BS. Only because this guy successfully is retaining, he thinks that all of his other advice is worth anything, and people believe it as well because people are blinded only because he is retaining. And then of course because he gets clicks and he doesn't need to put effort into anything. He is putting the most lame thumbnails. He makes so much long videos without a lot of points. And then he's giving advice like, oh, you need to learn to stare people in the eyes, practice this. Bro, you don't need to practice anything. When you're on a successful retention streak, you do it automatically. Our higher self is already part of us. We just need to be able to access it, and we do it through retention. Hello. And then there are people like me who are oftentimes also in retention energy, but only because we sometimes got floppy, we get zero success out of it. I think this is really not fair. And then there are people like Regal Change, who else? Bogdan, even Rin, but especially the two other ones, Bogdan and Regal Change, and they have so much trauma that they carry around with themselves. They complain about women, they are scared of dating a woman. Full Balls is another such example of a channel. They are scared of busting a nut. They think all their power is gone. They think they're so weak that only because they bust a nut with a girl that they lose all their power. They cannot find love. They deprive themselves completely, and they call themselves, technically like masters, right? They're like, oh, we have the self-mastery. What kind of self-mastery is this? You're even afraid to interact with the opposite sex, especially Full Balls, who will on purpose look away instead of interacting. And these are the people that you all listen, and they have the 2,000 views and stuff. And then they are like, who's the other guy? Joseph Brown? Jason Brown? Yeah, Jason Brown. Oh yeah, I am on a 200-day streak, and now I think I found the missing link that helps me to finally get benefits. Now I'm doing acupuncture, always these extra stuff, because for them normal retention is not enough, because they are hitting the flat line. Rin on 300 days is also like, yeah, the benefits are not as strong as before. Yeah, bro, for fuck's sake, you don't need to do all the tremor release exercises and all of this crap. You don't need to do acupuncture. You do a normal streak and you take supplements to avoid the flatline. Is it so difficult? You just need to find the proper balance, how much zinc you need to take, maybe L-arginine, but honestly, even zinc seems to be enough. Even when you relapse, you take zinc, you're good again. After relapse, you sleep one time with your girlfriend, you have even more energy. That's it. You can release, no problem. There's really not much that you need to do. Don't listen to this entire stuff that you have to do so many things to improve yourself. You just go on a streak. You avoid looking at any sexual content. You empty all of your social media from anything sexual. I gave tips how to do it. If you care, watch my previous video, for example, or my other videos. I will not repeat myself, and I don't want to be the one that repeats himself about it. Then you just take your supplements, think even like every second day is enough. I get even too tense when I do it too often. I get too much Kundalini energy. And then I get after sex Kundalini energy, after intercourse. So obviously if I have Kundalini energy, I have power and people notice it. You know, I just had the reset recently, just on Saturday. Yeah, everyone is looking at me. What should I do? Oh, sorry, I'm not on a long streak yet. I'm trying to be on a long streak. I learned from every mistake. I will do it now. But I think this is just so annoying that I really have stuff to say and it's really interesting. And then instead people are subscribing to the 100,000s to some channel who is just, you know, giving some BS advice that is super low tier. And that is even irrelevant because all that you need to do is actually be on retention and you automatically channel your higher self. Or people that are then all the time just bashing the whole dating situation. Stop bashing the dating situation, find yourself a proper girl and then allow her in and be with her, and then you don't need to all the time bash all the other women. Let them do whatever they want, who cares? You know? Instead of being one of those edgy YouTubers who is like black pill and red pill and then you don't get even monetized because the system does not support you. You know what? If the system doesn't support you, then the system found a reason to not support you. And the reason is actually valid. The system might be not cool, but no one will destroy your success unless you have something that they can attack. Unless you have some toxicity within yourself, and then they will use this, okay? So if you stay out of toxicity and you are okay with everyone and you don't bash anyone, this is how you get along in life. And you get good connections and you're not the edgy one that goes against everyone and has to complain about everyone. Of course, it's funny because this is a complaining video right now, but I'm going in another direction right now. I'm not complaining about the system as an entire thing. I'm not complaining about the entire zeitgeist. I'm complaining about the retainers' mindsets. I mean, the worst is the Reddit Semen Retention community where you get banished for everything that you say, you know. Of course, too rigid. And many of these people just have trauma. They experienced abandonment, just like Regal Change in his childhood, for example. So they went through some crap. They're still not fully healed, but they pretend that they are someone so special. But in reality, they closed off their heart and don't let anyone in, and they think they need to be perfect. But the journey of retention, this is the really important part. Just the journey of retention. And this is something for what I honestly admire Hack the Planet, this other retainer YouTube channel. He is all the time relapsing and talking about it, but he just does not stop trying, and I think it's cool. But yeah, for me, I think I found now all the missing ingredients to do it. But still, you have to understand, retention is a journey. I had a Guna journey within my retention journey because I was traumatized after I got sued by the mother of my daughter. I got a letter by police, and then I was so worried that I went on my first 3-month streak ever. But after that, there was like a yo-yo effect and all the darkness came up, basically triggered through this toxic woman that I have a child with. And so I went very deep, but I learned a lot of stuff along the way. And I, within this journey, accumulated more and more bad content, subscriptions, whatever, and items. But then I used them less and less. I used all of these content less and less. It was always a back and forth in waves, you know? I would delete stuff, then I would again accumulate, but not as much as before, and every time it got less and less, and now I'm at the point where I have the mastery. It is a journey, it takes time, and in between what happens is, sometimes you are retaining, sometimes it doesn't really work and you're retaining less. And so you get to experience all the different types of consciousness, all the different types of how you can relate to other people. One day you go out, everything is great, even your environment seems to magically change in your favor. Like you go and there are always the right people when you want to socialize, so it's easier and flowing more effortlessly. Then you relapse, suddenly some people are missing that you normally would talk to, and with the others you just cannot connect, you're a bit awkward, but always in different ways depending on how you were experimenting with edging and any other technique. So sometimes you would be more intimidating and people would therefore look away but still be attracted. Sometimes you are kind of introverted and you don't let anyone come close even though they are kind of interested, but you look away yourself. Sometimes it's completely crap in the earlier stages. No one seems to take you serious and you also feel completely awkward. Later, it's the opposite, and then always in between you have glimpses of perfection, or where you go out and everyone pays attention and you have the best interactions and everything is super positive. And in the end, you learn to shred off all of these negative subconscious states until only the highest one remains. And if you master one aspect of your life alone, and this can be very well the sexual one, then every other aspect, because of the law of correspondence, spiritual law, will also be mastered. This is how you learn perfection. You focus on one aspect alone, and the semen retention journey is a very easy one by idea, and you know you can learn with time. And at the end you mastered all aspects, because sexuality is an expression, and if you always have pleasure in the best way and not do it for quick dopamine fixes and stuff, then this is exactly what will be mirrored in your entire rest of life. And other than that, you just work out to have a great body, and you do the exercise similar to Kegels, where you push in and later push out your balls basically. You contract these muscles in the different ways, and then you last long in bed. Nothing else needed.